Analyze this situation more, shall we? We're joined now from Dubai by Orient Research Centre Director Samir Al-Taki. Thank you very much for joining us here on Q News. So following the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement to end the Gaza war, what do you think the situation is for Israel? Given its current export declines, investment retreat, what economic opportunities and challenges lie ahead for Israel?
First of all, thank you very much for hosting me. I believe that Israel faces very big challenges related to not only to the direct economic impact that you already mentioned, but also to integrate itself within the international arena strategically. At a certain moment, Mr. Netanyahu was saying that Israel should live on the tip of swords in the region, and we should continue to put the possibility of entering in a war in the region at any time. This had turned Israel into a burden to the international relations, burden even for the United States. Many articles in Foreign Policy and other main respected journals were speaking about the loss of the influence of Israel as a nation in this situation. So at the economic level, I believe in addition to what you already mentioned in your report, the main issue is regarding the immigration of a very important elite. Until now, the estimation is about 600,000 of the main elite and business and startups that left Israel, which were really the cream of the cream all over this group. So that's also an additional loss. Israel needs to regenerate its discourse, to regenerate its strategy vis-a-vis the peace in the region as a factor that, as a nation, that would be able to be integrated peacefully in the region. So I think there is a major challenge now, and the major need to really provide and develop a new discourse and a new redefinition of Israel's role in the region and in the world, because at a certain moment, Israel was pushing even the American administration to a basic, more confrontation with Iran, etc. All this hegemonic behavior for such a state is really putting Israel itself into danger.
So you've explained what Israel needs to do. Do you think it can? Do you think it will? And if it doesn't, if this isolation continues and persists in the coming years, what are the economic consequences that could occur for Israel?
The main challenge would be, as I mentioned, the immigration of the main talents and the main factories and the main startups that are really the top notch in terms of high tech, of many inventions. This would be a major blow. The other issue also is related to the deficit in the economy. I think in the GDP, the slowdown in the economy in general, and the last factor, which is very important, to what extent would it be able to really pacify the situation around it, especially vis-a-vis the Palestinians. I think that we need to look at what would happen in the next few months regarding the change in the Israeli government. There have been some issues that have been mentioned about a potential change in the main strategic vision in Israel, but still the conflict between the religious fanatics in Israel itself and the Tzal, the IDF, and the other main institutions in the army and security, there is a real rift. And I think this is very important because it is really those differences are defining differences. And I think those are very much necessary to allow the nation to embark in a new regeneration of all its status economically and geostrategically.
And do you think Israel could revitalize critical sectors like the high-tech, as you mentioned, the high-tech sector, construction, when they already have quite a strained labor market and shortages?
Yeah, I think this turning the investment climate within Israel into an attractive climate needs lots of effort. Would it be political, geostrategic, but at the same time, the involvement of the army within the whole economy also needs to be revised, because if at a certain moment it was a very positive factor, but now it's becoming to a large extent a burden on the to adapt itself to new necessities.
Okay, and yeah, we've heard around there are 20,000 daily vehicles carrying goods worth around 10 million shekels, and 25,000 workers affected by the West Bank closure, estimated to be costing monthly losses of around 20 million shekels. Do you think this is something that Israel could change and get themselves out of the problems that they've brought to themselves?
I think I cannot imagine now that Israel will make this big shift to re-assimilate those working forces. But I think this is one of the potentials. If they embark in a real shift in their policy vis-a-vis the Palestinians, this could be a very good opportunity to have cheap labor and to have a more integration of the West Bank with their economy. That would be a beneficial factor that Israel could also benefit. Instead of the West Bank being a burden, it could turn into a real field of cooperation between the two sides.
And how might Israel diversify its economic partnerships or forge new alliances to overcome the impacts?
Actually, Israel, during Mr. Clinton's and later on the first period of Mr. Trump, tried to diversify. They tried to build their relation with Russia, and there had been a very wide opening to Mr. Putin, and there had been many agreements in terms of economy. The same happened also even with Turkey, but also with China, to the point that even the Americans were a bit prudent in some fields related to the high-tech and double-use technologies vis-a-vis Israel. But after the 7th of October, the position of Israel had been very much restricted to become really a partner with the West. Russia is now looking at Israel as a main pillar of the American strategy in the Western Mediterranean, and also even in Middle Asia after they hit Iran. So I think thinking about rebuilding a kind of an alliance, I'm not speaking about deals, potential deals with China, potential deals with India. That would be feasible, but I'm speaking about real cooperations that could really lift the current situation, economic situation in Israel. So I don't think diversification is very much possible till there is a change in Israel itself.
And what are the indicators that policymakers and investors might look to over the next 2 to 3 years to see whether Israel's economy is recovering sustainably?
Yes, I think discussing with the main researchers in different Israeli centers, I get the feeling that actually they are still perplexed. There is no new vision vis-a-vis the regeneration of and really giving a push to the economy. There is lots of controversial criteria that are coming from different sides of the economy that would indicate increasing prices. So I think still we are in a very transitional period that we cannot predict exactly.
And also, Netanyahu did say recently that there was a prospect of moving towards economic self-sufficiency amid the isolation. Do you think that's likely?
I don't think so at all. Israel cannot suffice itself in many terms, and I think this is just a rhetoric. Even the United States is not able really to guarantee the necessary supply chain for its industry. So how Israel would be able to do it? To turn it into a closed enclave militarily and economically is just a rhetoric. Don't think that's applicable.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Samir Al-Taki, joining us from Dubai, from the Orient Research Centre. You're the director there. Thank you very much for joining us here on the programme. Now, that brings us to the end of our economic coverage.